For close to a decade, Geelong fans had to put up with the too old, too slow moniker before bringing home their second flag under Chris Scott in 2022. However, at 5-5 after 10 rounds of 2023, the moniker is coming back. So we need to ask the question, is it a case of too old, too slow for the Cats? Is it too injured and too far gone? What is happening at the reigning Premier that is stopping them from contending again in 2023? Let's go. But just before we get started, I want to thank the sponsor of this video, Capital Edge Australia. They are the country's leading residential real estate and property investment educators. They are wanting everyday Australians to grow generational wealth through property and want to educate you on how to do it. Whether you're setting up a meeting or you just need an update, whether you need to find an accountant, builder, or conveyancer, it will cost you nothing if you work through Capital Edge. You are wanting to make the process as quick, efficient, and easy for everyday Australians. If you click the first link in the description below, you'll be able to get a free online copy of this book here, Becoming an Educated Property Investor. It is the 3rd edition. As the real estate market trends and styles continue to evolve, so do Capital Edge Australia. If you want to visit their website, you absolutely can, capitaledgeaustralia.com.au. That is the second link in the description as well, and get started on your journey. A massive thank you to you guys for supporting the channel, and a massive thanks to Capital Edge Australia for jumping on board. So I know 5-5 isn't really panic stations at this point for most other teams in the competition. You'd think the Crows, a team that I'm really high on, are also 5-5, and yet Geelong are the ones that are copping the brunt of it. Now, of course, this is the success bringing down a peg, I suppose, attitude that many sports fans have, and no matter the sport, no matter the media, whatever it is, teams that aren't yours suddenly become good or take that extra step from already being successful, which is what the Cats did, of course, after only missing the finals in 2015 from that 2011 flag until the 2022 premiership, is we've been waiting for teams to crumble. It happens. I'm a Hawthorn fan. It's happened. Richmond fans, they're copping it right now as well. That's kind of the nature of the beast here. But the Cats right now have probably had 2 losses that are what's making this 5-5 scoreline as ugly as it is. And the first one being last week. I'll go in reverse order. So the second one, technically, would be last week against the Tigers, where their young and inexperienced midfield got towed up by Timmy Taranto, Dion Prestia, and the rest of Richmond's midfield and centre forward. The Tigers were able to get some form back. And the other one was actually round 3 against Gold Coast up there. Yes, the Cats have also lost to Fremantle at home. They've also lost to Collingwood, and they've lost to Carlton. Now, maybe that Carlton loss you might see differently depending on where you see Carlton. But Gold Coast and now Richmond are the 2 that haven't really been in favour of the Cats in terms of positive reinforcement from fans, first of all, media and naysayers, so on and so forth. But the numbers for the Cats for this year are actually reasonably okay. Take a look for yourself. Everything in that tick column actually looks really, really good, and a sign that a team is doing really, really well. Now, yes, they have played West Coast and they have played Hawthorn, but the Cats don't get to pick their fixture, and we can only go off the numbers that are presented to us. And a couple of those crosses aren't really that big a deal either, I don't think. I do worry about the amount of uncontested ball that the Cats are having, I should say. Happening or having. I'm going with having, if that's okay with you guys. You look at teams like Fremantle and Carlton, they're chipping the ball way, way too much. I'm not suggesting the Cats need to play their footy like that, but when you do have one arc of the ground that is clearly struggling, as their midfield is without Dangerfield, Guthrie, and the names that every other Geelong fan will be able to throw up instantly, is that when they are getting the ball back, which they didn't really do against the Dockers, considering their highest disposal count was 19, but if they are getting the ball, being able to slow the game down, have a bit more tempo in their style, and being able to launch at their own pace, sure, might not create a 130-90 victory, but they're nowhere near getting that anyway. Being 13th in the competition for uncontested ball, I think needs to go up for the Cats in order to wrestle back some momentum and either slow good teams down or set up meaningful launches into attack in order to produce higher scores and, of course, win more games, which is what the Cats are wanting to do anyway. Another bit of good news for the Cats is this whole bottoming out theory that is really starting to get on my nerves. Geelong in their history, have never finished below 12th. It's never happened. So, are we really gambling on history to say that they're going to bottom out in a big, big way? Now, I understand that some of these people that are saying this are people that just want to see Geelong fail. I understand that. You might have clicked on this video thinking I might be one of them because I'm a Hawthorn supporter. And whilst, yes, that rivalry is strong and I want to beat Geelong every single time that we play them, because as a teenager, I had to watch you guys beat us 11 times in a row. But as a footy fan, I know that a Chris Scott-led side with the talent that they've got is not exactly going to sit at 16th and 17th for 4 years, rebuild and go again. It's really not. The Cats have got youth that they're playing at the moment and trying to sort out who can make it and who can't. And they're doing it on the fly, still with Hawkins, Cameron, Dangerfield, Guthrie, Duncan, these guys on the list. And they're doing it beautifully. Check it out. The youth of the Cats looks okay. Now, some of these guys are best 22, some of them are not, and some of them are question marks. Now, I think, and I think Geelong fans will agree with me here, it is going to be better for the Cats. It's going to be more beneficial to figure that out while the veterans are still there to avoid that bottoming out. Now, guys like Cooper Stevens, who did get traded to Hawthorn last year, guys like Quinton Narkle, who got delisted, are going to seem unlucky. There are going to be guys on that list that are going to be deemed as unlucky. But Geelong is always going to be a destination club because, yes, it's still Victoria, but it's not Melbourne. They've got the successful culture, and for some reason, they've seemingly always got money in the salary cap, which is incredible to me. But they are getting linked to Darcy Parish, which, sure, would probably solve quite a lot of those midfield problems, even with Dangerfield, Duncan, Guthrie, and these guys there. Duncan won't really need centre bouncers at all. He and Sam Menegola, Isaac Smith, and the like will be on the wings, so they don't really need to worry about that. And if they do have that accumulative factor with Darcy Parish, then they can work on their outside mids, who will be young and fast, to be able to go. Now, if they do get a guy like Darcy Parish, I imagine Brandon Parfitt will be traded, and I think West Coast would be smart to look at him in a big, big way. Maybe even the Suns as well, if they do want to actually bring in a bigger, midfield mix. But that's maybe a story for another day. I don't think the Cats are where they want to be at this point in the season. Obviously, when you've got an injury list that looks like that, no one is going to be happy with where they're at the moment. Now, I'm not going to go down the West Coast path here because, shut up. But that is an egregious injury list. Now, I also don't want to know why Ollie Henry is getting his testicles tested, and I don't really think that's what club doctors signed up for when they got a contract from the Geelong Footy Club, but I do hope he is okay in a big, big way. We don't want to see any injuries, let alone those to the poor man. My goodness gracious me. But overall, the Cats are fine. I'm not sure they can win the flag, though. Even fully fit for the last, let's say, 6 weeks of the season, hypothetically. Now, it could be earlier than that, in which case this take might look bad. But let's say the last 6 weeks of the season, they're fully fit. So 6 weeks, the bye. And you'd think 3 finals. I find it unlikely they'd lose the final and then win 3 in a row. So 6 weeks, the bye, 3 weeks. Can 10 weeks of them at their best, reasonably injury-free, get over the line against your Collingwoods and your Brisbanes and these sides that are pushing to be the best in the competition for a full season sample size? I'm unconvinced. And my last point that I want to make before I head off, guys, is even if the Cats don't even make finals, now I think they do, personally. I'm confident they will make finals. This is a team too good not to. But let's say they don't win the flag. Sure, this won't go down as a dynasty, but can we stop underrating non-dynasty flags, please? I know there's an air of the Dogs had the umpires win them the 2016 flag, and I'm kind of sick of that narrative. We also look at the Eagles of 2018, Sydney of 2012, okay, Collingwood of 2010, Sydney and West Coast of 2005 and 2006, Port Adelaide of 2004. All of these teams didn't have a dynasty, but they still won a flag. And they still somehow go underrated in terms of great teams. You have got to be a great team to win a flag. But for some reason, considering the likes of Brisbane, Geelong, Hawthorn, and Richmond now, in modern times, if you're not winning multiple flags, it's kind of like you don't get credibility in footy media anymore, or fan footy media, if you want to call that, social media, that's actually the term. And that kind of shits me. We all want to win a flag. teams win a flag, and then it's like, all right, do it 2 or 3 more times. Like, come on, that's ridiculous. They climbed the mountain. If they're good enough to climb the mountain again, they will. And if they don't, that's okay. Do you know how many fan bases would love to have been Melbourne in 2021? Like, come on, let's stop doing this. Geelong fans, you deserve to celebrate that flag in 2011 under Chris Scott. You kind of get over that now, obviously, with the 2022 win. You don't have to talk about his credibilities as a coach, even though his winning percentage is outrageous. And, of course, you'd much rather be there or thereabouts and to keep tinkering, keep going, rather than bottoming out. Ask West Coast and Hawthorn fans how fun that's been for the last couple of seasons. But right now, I'm calling it. I don't think Geelong can win the flag, but that doesn't invalidate their 2022 premiership. And I think under Chris Scott, and with more players probably coming in the off-season, they'll get the ingredients right, and it will probably be back up the ladder sooner than we think. But what do you guys think? Comment below, let me know. Thanks so much for joining. Patreon.com/DazTalksFooty is where you can find all bonus content, including a new video series that has already started being uploaded. I appreciate all the support, guys. Thank you to Capital Edge for sponsoring this video. Goodbye.